I probably lived here maybe about 30 years or so. Hello, my name is Robert Schaefer, and I've been doing artwork for probably about 25 years full-time. And I had a very nice experience where I've gotten a chance to do the Slate Hill Elementary School here in Worthington. Very special project. It was definitely a joy to do, and I love working with children's ideas. I think I probably worked on it for about 3 weeks, over a 3-week period, but not full-time. There's generations that are going to go through this, and more people will see it. And the fact that it's local just makes me pretty proud to be a part of that. To do something local and to actually feel that you made a difference is much more special than just doing it for a client who you're never going to see again, or just it's out there. But this is something that's for kids, and it's for Julie, it's for the people of this building that want to promote a nice feeling. And the fact that it's local makes it even more special for me, because at different times I can stop by and say, hey, how's everything going? Very nice people to work with. Local makes a difference, it really does. I suggested that, hey, you have a theme that's already on the wall of a mountain range. They just basically wanted to improve that because it's been there for so long. I like realism, and I suggested that I could do the entire space. They said, yeah, go for it, and it allows me to just work the entire space as part of a theme. Since the waterfall worked to solve the problem of the rock wall, I just kind of suggested that we bring it all the way up to the top of the ceiling, where it becomes a misty look, and that way the mountain looks like it just goes into the theme of the ceiling. It allows me to just take whatever's in the room. If there's doors, I can make something out of the doors. And you'll see if some of the doors disappear and some of them are standing out. It just depends on what we're doing with the space. It carries the star theme also, which was very important to Julie. Once a star, always a star is their theme. They wanted me to carry the stars to be kind of an elaborate theme into the concept. When you're trying to do a lot of stone and different textures, you can put 2 or 3 colors on a roller at the same time and smear it across the wall. It gives you an effect that looks kind of like you're almost done already. And then I just go back and shape it. So if you notice, like in the scene right now, you can see the rocks kind of have a brown tone to them, and then I just go back and shape them into what I want them to be. I've done a lot of things with plants, and they work really well with giving things dimension. And it worked out really special for me, because I've been doing so many themes, I never know what's next. It makes it exciting every day. It's not the same thing over and over again. And I've had a lot of children help me. I do a lot of daycare centers, or somebody might want to be included. I just give the kids a paintbrush and they get excited because they're part of it. If I can spark somebody, or a child, to do something like this, and I let them know that I've failed along the way many times, you have to get better at it. Even in school, you have to be able to successfully instill a child with the thought that they could do it, and then see what happens. You never know, and that's what it inspires me to inspire somebody else. It makes me happy to do that. Any of the children that came in here and I could see their expressions, it turns me on to the fact that, if they were to have an art class, they might be inspired by something like this. That makes me happy.
It's now 7:30, and we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the Worthington School District Board of Education meeting for October 24th, 2022. TJ, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Best.
Present.
Mrs. Davis.
Present.
Mrs. Hudson.
Present.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Present.
Mr. Wilson. Here.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Amy Lloyd, and I'm serving as this year's board president. To my far left is board member Kelly Davis, board member Jennifer Best, our treasurer TJ Cusick. To my far right is board vice president Charlie Wilson, board member Nikki Hudson, and our superintendent Dr. Trent Bowers. Could you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item A2A, approval of agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda of the regular Board of Education meeting?
So moved. Second.
Are there any additions or deletions? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Board of Education recognition. The Board of Education values the opportunity to publicly recognize staff and students for their service to this district and the school community. We appreciate your attendance and ask that you remain seated through the duration of the recognition portion of this agenda. Item A3A, Board recognition. Can I have a motion to recognize Laura Ruffing as the 2022 Ohio School Social Worker of the Year?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Is this on? Yes. Okay. On behalf of the entire Worthington Schools Board of Education, it's my pleasure to congratulate Laura Ruffing on being selected as the 2022 Ohio School Social Worker of the Year. Laura, would you please come and join me up at the front? Hi, Laura. Congratulations. And this to you. It's a plaque for you. And we just want to say that we are so proud that you are part of Worthington Schools, and we are so grateful for the work that you do for our students. So thank you, and congratulations.
Okay, so I get the honor tonight to say a little bit about Laura. On behalf of the Academic Achievement and Professional Development Department and the entire administrative team, we take great pride in recognizing this prestigious award. So Laura joined us in 2006 as a behavior consultant. I had to text her to remember when that was, and I have notes because there's a lot here about Laura. She worked in that position, and then it's grown and developed to the point now that she is the team leader, mental health team leader over a group of 10 mental health specialists supporting our pre-K, preschool, all the way through our school age high school students. She also has been in charge of PBIS through all of our buildings and been the coordinator and an instructor in CPI, which is a crisis prevention program that she has done completely for us. Laura has quite a crowd back here that's very proud of her. Joining her tonight is John, her significant other. Her two children, Bridget and Ethan, are here. And then her mom, Jenny, is here. And a little side note on her mom, she was just recognized for recently, last month or within the last month, for service for 43 years at Annhurst Elementary School in Westerville. So they have what they call now the place where she worked. And so now they have it's a red mat, right, in the front of the building that they call the Jenny Mack Welcome Mat. Welcome Mack. So definitely following in the footsteps of her mom with that. And then also Mr. Kellenberger, Nathan Kellenberger, the principal at Worthing Way, where Laura has spent a lot of her time recently. Laura is also going to be honored at the Midwest Social Work Conference on Thursday, November 3rd in Indiana. So again, congratulations, Laura.
Our next item is under information and proposals, B1A, visitor comments. Our first speaker this evening is Andrew Ruck.
Hi, Andrew Ruck, 1316 Donahue Street. I have 3 kids in the district, 4th, 8th, and 10th, but tonight I'm representing Worthington Youth Boosters Baseball. I also speak on behalf of WIB Softball tonight. Each summer we have around 1,000 baseball players through WIB and around 300 through softball. So I come here today just to bring attention to the board, to management, to the community of just an issue we're having involving the field maintenance. There's 14 total ball diamonds at 9 different schools that are not being maintained currently. I don't know the history behind it. At some point, the decision was explicitly made to not, for the grounds department to not maintain those infields. So it's left WIB on our own as a full volunteer organization to maintain those infields, and that's proven to be very difficult. So we can get a contractor to come out to 9 different addresses, take their tractor off the trailer. To actually drag a field is not a difficult thing once you're there with the proper equipment. It takes about 10 minutes, but to drive to 9 different addresses, take it off the trailer, do your job, put it back on the tractor, on the trailer, go to the next place. We're not able to find any reliable contractor willing to take that work. We've tried community members, we've tried teenagers. Nothing's really worked. We do pay a contractor to scrub the fields clean every May. It takes all the vegetation off, and the fields actually look pretty good come mid-May when we start our season. But very quickly that turns. Infields are just bare dirt, so if you don't move that dirt around regularly, the seedlings are going to take, and it just takes over by mid-June. So it's been a real problem, and the only viable solution that we see from our side is for the grounds department to take care of it as part of their regular maintenance. Already being at the property with their heavy machinery, we have offered to pay for the machinery that could be attached to the back of that tractor so they could mow their grass, and as soon as they're done, put that on the back of the tractor, drag the field, and they're off to the next place. We've talked about paying for a part-time employee, helping financially different ways. Nothing's really come to fruition. We do appreciate the ability to use the fields. We have a good relationship with the grounds department. It's just this area is something that they're just not interested in. And I don't know if some conversations could be had with them to at least reopen the discussion to see what could be done, because it's particularly urgent right now. McCord Park is, as you probably know, is going through a renovation. All 4 of those fields will be unusable for probably a full calendar year for us. Those are city fields that we use extensively. If we don't have that, we're really going to need the school fields to be reliable and a safe playing surface for our kids. So just aside from that, I guess I would just add that it's just a good service to the community, as I hear from a lot of other people. Just to have a workable ball diamond in your community. These are all in neighborhoods. for kids to go to play wiffle ball and kickball on the weekends in the summer. And it's aesthetically pleasing as opposed to a weed garden. I think it'd be a good community service for the district to provide for everybody in the community. So just want to get that on your radar. That's all I really had. If anybody needs to speak to me from the grounds department or on the board, you can find my contact info on the WW website. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is B1B, first reading Neola policy updates.
I'll go ahead and kick this off. Several weeks ago, the board policy committee met to review Neola's fall updates. And as a result of that meeting tonight, we're bringing 16 policies for a first reading, and they're relatively minor changes to those policies for the most part. There are two policies that we have to annually review. So those policies are just for an annual review. They do not require two readings, but we are required by law to review those policies. They're in regards to Title I. And then there's one policy that we tabled regarding drones because we needed to do some further research with our insurance carrier. So I will kick it off to the board policy committee to see if there's any questions from the board or from the committee members on any of those 16 policies.
Thanks, Randy. I don't, obviously Kelly and I sit on that committee. I don't have any questions because we sat through the meeting during which we reviewed each of these and aligned on the changes. So definitely at this time, Kelly, unless you have something that you specifically want to add, we can just open it up, as Randy said, to questions.
I don't I don't have any questions for you, Randy. It was a good discussion on the policy, a good experience for me to go through a lot of the changes or minor changes, see what changes can happen. Randy did email like an Excel spreadsheet that kind of breaks down each policy and what changes. So if you have questions from that, be happy to try to answer those.
Does anybody have any questions that you want to start with? Jennifer, did you have some?
A couple or a comment. I mean, this is our typical quarterly, there were laws that changed and Neola has recommended changes.
Correct.
Is where all these have come from. So I'm looking at 2280, the preschool program. This is a policy that we didn't have this in the past and they recommended we add this. I mean, does this change anything we currently do? It follows what we're doing
Right.
currently, correct?
So at the time that we transferred to Neola Services, for some reason we chose not to accept this policy. We had it reviewed by our preschool director and special ed director, and we feel that it outlines exactly what we do. So we felt that it was appropriate to adopt the policy at this time.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'll just add that one of the things that we discussed during the policy committee meeting was that this sometimes covers some questions that we get from families that are coming into the district and have students who may or may not qualify for the preschool program. And so we thought it was good to have it public facing.
Good, okay, thank you. That's really the only question I had.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments on these? And this is the first reading, so we'll have the second reading at I believe at our next meeting. Is that correct?
Sure. The only thing I'd like to note for the record is oftentimes Neola makes small minor updates, and this time they did make another update to the weapons policy, which touches like 4 or 5 different policies when they do that. That oftentimes can create a little bit of anxiety. It's a requirement that's by law, and the board policy committee actually modified that even more. And I just want it to be known we have no intent of changing that policy or allowing weapons on campus. So it was a recommendation that came from Neola, and it impacted 3 different policies, but there will be no significant change.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Anything else from anybody else? No?
Good, Martha. I think that some ordinances can be dangerous, but I like the fact that we're getting this right. I brought this up when we first passed this. I was told I was wrong, that I was pretty certain that ordinances, generally statutes are not that dangerous. Yeah.
And then the two policies that are up for annual review, there's been no changes recommended for those, but it is a requirement, as I mentioned, that we bring those to the board for this review.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Okay. We will move on to item B1C, Board Committee Reports and Announcements. Would anyone like to start?
I would be glad to start.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys received the email that I sent or you got an alert that you were added to a folder in our Google Drive, but in addition to sharing these notes, I actually put them on a Google Drive, on our Google Drive as well. And so this is just continuing our discussion from our last meeting that there may be a means by which we save our notes so that we have historical reference, and it's easily accessible by all of us. So I'll share, really my only substantive notes that I had were related to the student feedback session at Thomas this past week, which was a fantastic session. As you'll see in my notes that I saved there, I shared that we received positive feedback again regarding the starting time changes, which is just fantastic. And it's not just from the standpoint of those high school students actually getting more sleep, but also they indicated that both clubs and sports adapted fairly easily to the revised schedule, and even commented that clubs meeting early had more productive meetings because they weren't exhausted at the hour at which they were meeting before school, which makes a lot of sense. They also shared one hiccup they shared related to, if you have classes where you have external speakers, it might make more sense to allow more time for those. Maybe it's a 2-block class instead of 1, so that there is enough time for those external speakers, but it sounded like something that they were exploring and working through. They were very positive as far as sharing whether or not they felt that they do feel seen, heard, and valued, which was wonderful. They commented on improved, and not that they were bad in the first place, but just improved relationships with their counselors and their teachers. Teachers asking about them as humans, how they were doing, the amount of work that they are being given as challenging and also from a quantity standpoint reasonable. They commented that they were pleased with some of the diverse topics and people that they were authors that they were reading in AP Lit class. And as far as like the one kind of tangible takeaway that I had, and this is in my notes as well for us as a board, is when they were asked the question of like if they could change one thing, one of the things that they mentioned was having free time or a break period where you can actually go outside, like fresh air. Imagine if you were stuck in your building all day long. And I know that there are logistical issues with that, but that was something that stood out to me as we're thinking about the construction of Thomas. And I know that there's an outside kind of eating space that's being contemplated. So just thought that was definitely feedback worth sharing. And then I'll share that we had a finance committee where we really just reviewed like standard expenses throughout the year, nothing really to note that hadn't already been shared during TJ's regular updates.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't really have anything to share committee-wise because I was supposed to go to PTAC last week, and it was canceled, or it was just canceled because, not just canceled like that, but recognizing that there's a lot going on right now and people are just really busy with fall. And so Tasha will send an update, and so I will update you all once I get that. And then Charlie and I have AAPL tomorrow with Angie and her team, which I always look forward to. So that's all I have.
Okay, I as part of the Key Communicator Committee, Nikki and I go, or the Communication Committee, we go to the Key Communicator meetings. And the next coming up is this Thursday, and I have to work all day. I cannot attend. So if anyone is interested, since I won't be there, we meet with the community at 7:45 and the staff at 4. So if anyone wants to take my place, because it's always such a good discussion, just let me know.
Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. I will definitely be in the morning session, but I actually have a work commitment in the afternoon as well. So there will be 2 spots available in the afternoon if anyone's able to attend. Thanks for bringing that up.
I can go in the afternoon.
Thanks,
I can go
Kelly.
in the morning.
Okay, so we're good. Thank you.
So we'll have, oh, you said you can go in the morning? So that would be 2
2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
1 in the afternoon. So I'll check, but I could potentially go in the afternoon. So I would like to attend too if I can. So
I know, they're always
So
good.
that would make 2 and 2?
They're well worth attending.
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you for mentioning that.
Now I don't feel so bad about not being able to go
And that's Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Charlie, did you have anything? Okay. I also attended the student feedback session with Nikki, and I will just say everything she said. It was a really good meeting. I feel so fortunate that our students are so willing to come and share with us so openly about their experiences in our schools. And I've gotten to attend 2 feedback sessions. Has everybody gotten to attend at least one yet, or you haven't gotten to attend one yet? But soon, right? November, maybe? Okay. They've just been really good, the one at Linworth and the one at Thomas. And so I appreciate our students and them sharing with us. So, all right. Actions recommended by the treasurer. Item C1A, approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 10th, 2022 regular board meeting as indicated in enclosure C1A?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? TJ, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item C1B, appropriation transfers, modifications. Can I have a motion to authorize the following appropriation transfers, modifications as presented by the treasurer?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. TJ, can you please call for the roll?
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes. Motion carries. Actions recommended by the superintendent, routine business. Dr. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda, items C2A through C2F. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of the consent agenda means that all items listed under the consent agenda are adopted by one single motion, unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately. So the recommendation is items C2A through C2F. C2F should take you to the middle of page 8 on your agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, TJ, can you please call for the vote?
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes, motion carries. Actions recommended by the superintendent, new business.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve items C3A and C3B. C3A is the acceptance of the donations on page 8. C3B is the approval of the new student organizations listed on page 9.
So moved. Sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? TJ, can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes,
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
motion carries. Actions recommended by the Board of Education. Item D1A, continued enrollment of senior moving out of district. Can I have a motion to approve the continued enrollment of, is it Blanche? Giapo and Jaden Felice, whose legal guardians have moved from the Worthington School District.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? TJ, can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item D1B, school board conferences, conventions, and workshops. Can I have a motion to approve the registration of Mrs. Davis to attend the Ohio School Boards Association Black Caucus Dinner on Sunday, November 13th, at a cost of $90?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item D1C, Board of Revision Representative. Can I have a motion to authorize the law firm of Rich and Gillis Law Group to represent the Board of Education of the Worthington City School District before the Franklin County Board of Revision with respect to all matters which the Worthington Board of Education may commence or be a party to before such Board of Revision during the 2023 calendar year?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, TJ, can you please call for the vote?
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd?
Yes. Motion carries. Requests, questions, and concerns from the board. Does anybody have anything? Here? No? No? Okay, I don't have anything either. So we will move on to our calendar. Our next meeting is on a Wednesday because of OSBA, November 16th at 7:30 p.m. And then the very next day, we have a work session starting at 9 a.m. and we're anticipating that that will go till noon, 12:30. And then our next regular board meeting is November 28th, back on Monday at 7:30 p.m. Okay, anything else? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. TJ, can you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd?
Yes,
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening.